So, page 330. You guys remember, we talked a little bit about exponents in chapter 1, not a lot, but a little bit. And
are those like the little numbers above?
yes, those are the little numbers. A lot of times they're called powers. Exponents and powers are the same thing.
Oh.
No.
So, if I have 5 to the third power, or 5 cubed, what does that mean?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean 5 times 3. It's not 15. It means 5 times 5 times 5. Anybody know what 5 times 5 times 5 is?
15.
That's stupid. No, wait.
I thought it was adding.
So, it's a lot bigger than 5 times 3. You guys know 5 times 3 means 5 plus 5 plus 5.
Yeah. I thought it said 5 there.
So, exponents are a lot more powerful than multiplication,
Yeah.
even though it's kind of related to multiplying. Okay, so this number up here is called the exponents. You guys remember where exponents appeared in order of operations?
The
Second. So it's right after parentheses. So if you have an exponent of the problem, you're probably going to need to do that first, unless there's a parentheses something. Now, usually people don't remember this. If a number has an exponent, what's the number called?
Number.
It's called the base.
It's called the base.
Okay, base means like foundation. Base means like foundation. So 3 is on top of the 5, so that's why 5 is the base. Okay. I think we talked a little bit about this in chapter 1. So x to the third means x times x times x. X to the fifth means x times x times x times x times x. So what do you think is going to happen if we multiply those together?
You would do 8x. Wait, x times the 8.
7x.
X to the 8.
Wait,
Yes.
what is it?
So basically, it's 8x is multiplied together, so it's x to the 8. So really, when you multiply the same base together, what do we do with the exponents? Add. Multiplying the same base ends up adding the exponents. What if I did like x squared times y to the third?
6.
Okay, does not simplify. That's not 5 of anything, so it doesn't really do anything. Okay, so it has to be the same base. These can go together, these don't really do anything else.
So that's it.
Another thing that we're doing today is that. Actually, let me switch that a little bit. Let's do x to the third squared. Although they happen to be the same answer.
6.
This means x cubed times x cubed, right? Because that's what square means. You take that times itself. X cubed times x cubed.
What? Oh.
So what would that be?
8 to the 6th power.
X to the 6.
Oh.
What did you just 8?
Why did I say
Do you multiply it?
So yeah, it's basically it's 3 plus 3, or in other words, it's 3 times 2.
8
Did you times any of the numbers plus there? Like if it was
Yes.
5?
So if it was 5, it would be x third times x third times x third times x third times x third. So it's 3 plus 3 plus 3. So basically it's 3 times 5. So if you have a power to a power with like the parentheses, it's multiply. Let's see. So that should be easier to remember, because what does numbers next to each other in parentheses usually do? Multiply. So that does work on exponents. That's x to the 6.
What are you?
Okay, those are the 2 rules that we need to. Now it's going to get trickier than that, but if we keep track of those 2 rules, that would be helpful. Usually people get these 2 mixed up, though. That's where it gets hard. Like this is add, this is multiply. Yes.
When you divide?
Yes. Which is, I think that's like tomorrow's
Is
lesson.
this page easy?
Oh my gosh.
It starts easy and then it gets harder.
That's
No.
nice.
Yeah, just look at 25.
Okay, number 1, speaking of starting.
Whoops.
Too bad.
Okay,
Yes.
I think I accidentally did number 1. So,
Started ahead. And number two.
x to the third, no, I didn't do number 2. X to the third times x to the fifth would be what?
X.
X to the 8th.
Well, you know what? Oh, I was gonna. Are you trudging her? Yeah.
Okay, Caden, what do you think number 3 is going to be?
So I think it'll be 7x times 5y.
You said it wrong. Try again.
Wait,
X to the 7th.
what?
X
You
to
said
the-
7x.
Oh, x to the 7 times y to
Do we need a time symbol?
the 5th.
No.
No.
No, because letters right next to each other
Can we
automatically
put a times?
means times. Okay. Grant, how about, what do you think for number 5?
Number 5, maybe 7 to the
What?
7th power.
Yep. Okay, so there's just a bunch of stuff multiplied together, right? Does order of multiplication matter when you're multiplying a bunch of numbers? No. So you can multiply whatever you want to together. That's kind of what we did on 3. So we can go ahead and do 3 times 4 is 12. And what's W3 times W4? W7.
I have a question on 6.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're going to have to do that on your own.
But
Okay.
it's negative. Do you?
It's
Can you
negative
not do
5
it?
times 7. Okay, number 7, Willow. Something changed on this one. What do you think we should do on 7?
Would be A4 times A4. The
A4 times A4 times.
Well, kind of, but what was how do we do it? It is A4 times A4 times A4, but what's that equal?
12.
12A or yeah.
8 to the 12. When it's a power, remember, you guys remember, see if I can scroll back over that. When you have a power to a power, remember this? You just multiply. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, that was 5 and 7. Okay, number 9. We got C to the 5th. C squared to the 4th. Alright, Issa, what should we do first on this one?
Do the 2 exponents.
Right, exponents come first before multiply, right? So
C to the 8th.
C to the 8th, so we got C to the 5th times C to the 8th. Now what do?
You would add
Add. So I got C to the
13.
13.
Shut up. That's not exactly what you just said.
So order of operations mattered on that one. We had to do 2 times 4 first, then we had to add the 5. Alright, number 11. Number 11 says, okay, if everything in parentheses is squared, it's like you're taking this whole thing times itself, right? All of this times itself. So really you're squaring everything. It's like -2 times another -2, and a b squared times another b squared, and a c times c and d. So really everything in here is going to be squared. So what is -2 squared?
4.
Yeah, positive or negative? Positive. And what's b squared squared? B to the 4th. And then c. If there's no exponent on the c, what exponent's on the c? 1. So it's 1 times 2. So yeah, it's basically just c squared is c squared, that's all it is. And what's d to the 5th squared? What's So it's kind of like distributive property, everything is squared on that case. Okay, 13. Moving quickly. But we're in the B section.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Because we moved on. Are we gonna have any graphs in this chapter?
I think there is a
No.
lesson towards the end where we graph. Okay, 13, so, that's just a bunch of stuff multiplied together, right? It's kind of like number 5. The parentheses just means multiply. So, what? What can I do there?
Just solve it.
I can do 2 times, since it's just a bunch of multiplied stuff, I can multiply whatever I want. So what's 2 times negative 5?
Negative 10.
Negative 10.
Good job, Lisa.
And then times a squared times b to the third, does that do anything?
No.
No, so it's just a squared b to the third. Is a squared b to the third the same thing as b to the third a squared?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
They are the same because order of multiplication doesn't change anything. Usually the book will put it in alphabetical order though. If you look it up in the back. Well, usually. Always that probably is more accurate. But the order of the letters doesn't really matter. Number 15, kind of the same thing, isn't it? I'm not going to copy 15 down. So we're just going to multiply whatever we can multiply together. So what's 4 times negative 3? Negative 12. And what is a times a to the third? Right. Remember a, that still counts for 1. So what's a to the 1 times a to the third? A to the 4th. And then b times b. B squared, right? That's what b squared means, b times b. And then c times c. C squared. The end. Number 17. Okay, what's different about 17?
There's a 3 in between them.
Right, that first parentheses has an exponent on it, so we need to do that. Well, actually, the second parentheses has an exponent too, doesn't it? So, we need to do those exponents first. Okay, 5 to the third. 5 times, we did that one at the beginning, remember? 125. 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 525 is like $1.25, so it's 125. And then x to the what?
9.
9. And I'll guess I'll keep the parentheses. And then 2 squared over here. 4, and then x squared. Anything else?
You gotta connect them because they both X's.
Yeah, so now that we're done doing the exponent stuff, we gotta just multiply the stuff together. Normal multiply. 125 times 4. Let's get that out of there.
Magical numbers.
It's a big number. 500. This one right here,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. No, the one beside it.
What?
It was a joke.
Okay, and then what's x to the 9 times x to the 2? X to the 11. So we switched, up here we were multiplying, right? And then down here it's x times x, so we're adding. We did 3 times 3, and we did 9 plus 2.
Put off it.
Yeah, she's a hand thing. So are we allowed to do like work on the calculator?
can, there's not a lot the calculator can do on this, but yeah, you can use calculator.
Expounded numbers.
Aren't you serious?
Like 9 to the
Like-
18th power.
Like 5 to the third, you can plug that in the calculator. Okay, number 19. Probably better write that one down.
Why are you recording this?
For the other class. Is everybody here in this class? Yeah, I guess so.
My Discord.
Oh, I wonder if everybody's here in the other class too.
Yeah, stuff to do online.
Maybe Anna will want to watch it, probably not. Alright, take a test.
Oh,
What should I do first on this one?
exponent
Right.
outside of the parentheses.
We can square this thing.
Thank you.
So what's -3 squared?
Negative 9. I mean 9.
9. It's a normal number, so you do normal exponents. So it's -3 squared is -3 times -3. And then what's x cubed squared? And y squared? Z8 squared?
10.
No?
No, 16. Just kidding.
So that's where they get you,
You did
because
it on purpose, right?
you gotta jump back and forth between multiplying. So this is a multiply situation right here. And then when we multiply these two terms together, we'll have to add. Okay, there is no exponent on this parentheses, so I'll just bring it down.
It sounds so satisfying when you do that.
So we have 9 times -5.
Negative 45.
And then what's x to the 6 times x to the 3rd?
9.
X to the 9.
Why are you still going?
So now we're adding exponents in this case. It's not a power to a power, it's just x times x.
Y to the third power.
Y to the 3rd power. And z to the
22.
22nd.
22.
Mad sussy.
You're such a nerd.
Okay.
I watched the math review and it was so quiet. The only voice I heard
You
all
enjoy
that day
reading
long
books.
was just that
That's
redacted.
because of you, Grant.
Eli?
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, Graham, was it when I was like, all I can hear was your voice.
What's going on, guys?
Okay,
You might hear my voice.
not sure I want to write all this down, but. So this first parentheses needs, Grant, this first parentheses needs squared. So what's 1/3 squared? Okay, that means 1/3 times 1/3. No,
Two
no,
six.
no,
Half.
You think I know?
Or 1/9.
1/9, right?
Okay.
So basically, when you're squaring a fraction, you just do 1 times 1, so you square the top. 3 times 3, square the bottom. 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9, so it's 1/9. X to the
Third, or I don't know.
6,
Oh, so
Yeah.
I knew that.
Y to the
That's a
4.
4, Z to the 2nd. Okay, that's just the first parentheses.
Roast beef.
Second parentheses has a cube on it, so I'm looking at my book now, I didn't write it on the board. So what is 2 cubed? 2 to the 3rd power. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is
So 8.
4 times 2 is 8.
Just
And then
She did it on purpose, right?
x cubed. What's x to the 3rd to the 3rd? Looking at 21.
oh.
X to the 9th. And then y squared to the 3rd. Y to the
Oh, I
6th.
did not.
And then z to the 3rd. Okay, that's our middle parentheses.
And
And then the right one doesn't have anything on it, so it's just going to stay 18x for now. Okay, this is just a bunch of stuff multiplied together. This is times. So we can just go ahead and multiply whatever we want. 1/9 times 8 times 18. You guys remember this trick from middle school? Or you guys are in middle school? From last year or two? 18 and 9. Remember doing that?
Yes.
Before you want this.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
8 times 2 is 16, and then is 1 times 1 times 1. 16 over 1, so it's just 16.
I don't understand.
You forgot how to multiply fractions? Okay, if you did, you can use, since you're in 9th grade, you can use your calculator. You remember reducing fractions when you multiply?
Wait,
You can divide both of these by 9. So this becomes a 1 and this becomes a 2. And I just did top times the top and the bottom times the bottom. Anyways, so all those numbers just turned into a 16. Then I see x to the 6th times x to the 9th
15.
times x.
16.
16. Remember that's 1 right there. So x to the 16th. Then I see y4 times y6.
10.
10.
And I see z
Five.
squared times z cubed.
I'm so intelligent.
Thank you, Issa.
So it's getting kind of messy, but we're almost done too.
Yeah, it's getting
20, okay, 23 through 26 are very different. What's different about 23 through 26?
long.
There's no parentheses.
Okay, that's not the main thing.
There's two, like, variables next to each other, but they're not.
To the same here.
Okay, that's not the
Yeah,
main
same.
thing though.
What?
There's subtraction.
Okay, we're adding and subtracting different terms. And you can only add and subtract what?
Anna.
A like term.
Like terms.
I don't think
Like
we can
terms.
subtract Anna.
Oh,
So we need to simplify each term, and then we're going to see if any of them are like terms that we can add together.
What?
All right. So are you guys looking at 23?
Yeah.
How can we simplify that first term? It says 3b squared cc. What's c times c?
C2.
C squared. So I'm just going to write it as 3b squared c squared. Okay, minus, can we simplify that middle term, c squared b? No. I'm going to put it in alphabetical order.
Why?
That way it's easier to tell if we have any like terms or not, if they're all in the same order. Are these two like terms?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No.
B squared, c squared, whatever that equals, is not going to be the same thing as bc squared. So those are not like terms.
And then wouldn't it be plus 2b squared c squared?
Yes, and then we got a bb on the last one, so that'll be b squared, c squared. Okay, which of these are like terms?
The 3B to C. The first and last.
First term and the third term.
You're stupid.
So we got 3 of those plus 2 of those makes
1.
5.
What?
Okay.
We're subtracting.
This minus goes with this, not with that. So it's 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay,
4.
why did I? Okay, so this confuses people. Why did I put b squared and not b to the 4th? Okay, hold on. This is important. This is important. You guys remember doing this in the past chapters? 2x plus 5x is 7x.
Yeah.
Okay, why is it not x squared?
Because
Because you're multiplying, you're adding
Yeah. What's this?
10, x 10, or
10.
x, or,
What's x times x?
yes, 10
X squared. So when you're adding like terms, we didn't change the exponent. We said 2 of those plus 5 of those equals 7 of those. The exponent did not change. When we multiplied, that's when the exponent changes. that make sense? So 3 of these plus 2 of these equals 5 of those. Not something different. So b squared, c squared stay the same. And this will stay the same also, so that's the answer. And probably completely lost, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, you can watch the video, Anna.
Okay, I think we have one blank space up here.
Then you have to erase it.
Alright, 25 is kind of the same thing. Does the first term simplify? Correct. It does not simplify. What is the how does the second term simplify? How many x's do we have?
Yeah, we have those.
We have x to the third times x in the second term. What's x to the third times x? X to the 4. Are you guys losing your abilities?
Yes.
And then on the second, you guys know what I mean by second term? I'm looking at minus 5x cubed y squared xy cubed. Okay, we have y to the second times y to the third. Y to the fifth. So that's what the second term turns into. Are those two like terms?
You're giving
Well, actually, no.
No.
Oh wait, no.
x5, y4, x4, y5. No, they're not like terms, so those will not mix. Okay, the third term says plus 2. How many x's are multiplied in there?
2, wait,
No,
3,
no.
what?
There's 5.
5.
What?
It says x squared and x cubed.
Oh, I knew that.
So we got x to the fifth, and then how many y's are in there? 4. And then the last term, does that simplify?
No.
No.
No?
Okay, do we have any like terms? Okay,
Yes.
here's an x5, y4. There's an x5, y4.
It's 7.
Here's an
Can you just stop?
x. Here's an x4, y5. Here's an x4, y5.
Oh my goodness.
It's
So-
all connecting.
So we have 5 of these plus 2 of these
7.
makes 7. Do I change the exponents or not?
No.
No.
Because you add not.
Yes. 5 of those plus 2 of those makes 7 of those, so it doesn't change.
Okay.
And then we have negative 5 of these minus 1.
Negative.
Negative 6. So we have negative 6, x4, y5s.
This is stupid.
Okay, no, there's also number 31 and 32, but that's
Well, I
gonna
mean, like, is that the
Oh.
We just shouldn't do those.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
They
They're
should
not
be
like terms, so they don't add together. Okay, this is really quick and easy. Well, I don't know about easy, but it's really quick. Once you've seen it once,
We just should do number 31 and 32.
okay, 31, shh, x to the n times, hey, x to the n times x to the third. What do we do with the exponents in this situation?
What on earth?
X equals n3.
X, 3n, I don't know.
Okay, what does 3n mean?
the exponent.
What does 3n mean?
3 times n.
3 times n. Are we supposed to be multiplying the exponents here?
We're supposed to add. So
Three
would it
plus
be
n.
x and then 3%?
Yes, or n plus 3.
Wow.
So it wasn't that hard, was it?
No.
Now, we all got it wrong the first time. But now that you've seen it, then you know what it should look like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 32 is pretty close to the same thing.
Is it?
It's just
What should we do with the exponents here?
x plus.
You, got.
Add.
Wait,
Add.
it would
So
just
what's
be
x plus 5 minus x?
5.
5 minus x.
5 is 2x.
No.
It's just 5.
X plus 5 minus x. X minus x is
0.
plus 5 is
5.
5.
So it's just 4
X.
4
No.
to the 5th power.
Okay. Now, when you multiply the x's, notice I didn't turn this into a 2x or anything.
So it's 4 to the 5th?
Because the exponent kind of goes into that. So, no, it's not 4 to the something, it's 2 to the something. It's 2 to the 5th.
Oh.
Okay, since that's a normal number, we could change it, but they just, this assignment's about exponents, so we're just gonna leave it with the exponent form.
Okay.
Exponential form.
Babies are like my new
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, try the evens. I will come around and look at some if you want me
Can I
to.
go there?
Yeah.